You.
Thank you. So we are good to go.
We
So
have
we are
three.
just waiting for two other guests. They will join.
Okay.
Hello, Felix.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Just see.
Sure,
Just
I'm
on.
on it, man.
Okay.
Yes.
So Amijit, I guess Mukesh sir का ना आवाज थोड़ा it's coming like little low. Can you just recheck his audio?
Yeah, hello. It's clear now?
Sir, you're using a headphone, sir, right? Can you speak without your headphone, sir? Just to check is your
Yeah,
audio
that's
is. So it's mute. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, it's clear.
It's echoing now, sir. Yes, sir, it is better now, but it's little echoing actually. So put back your headphone. We'll do it in the post.
Okay. But it's a still issue or
It is not. It is not actually. Your
We just wanted a
level is,
louder audio. That's it.
yeah,
It's fine, sir.
okay.
We'll take care in the post production. Just
yeah.
wear your mic.
Plug in your headphones, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we start?
Yeah. Just a minute more. Apeksha, any update? Apeksha. Radhika.
Yes, Swamiji.
Yeah. No. Any update? Are they joining?
I'll just call a picture. Just give me 1 minute. Huh?
Okay. Okay.
Hi, Ekta. The other two guests are joining in 2 minutes. If you want, we can start with the informal discussion,
Yeah,
with the
sure.
others.
Let's
Yeah?
start with that.
Yeah.
I just want to introduce Ritu. Ritu, if you're there. Can we
Yeah.
just add on a speaker?
Yeah, I am there. Just
Yeah, hi Ritu. And who are the rest of the speakers that we have? Do we have Mr. Seni?
Uh, Ekta, as of now, we have Mr. Mukesh with us, and we
Okay.
have Mr. Srinivas from Granules. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So Ritu, I just want to introduce, this is Ritu Ranade. She's the Vice President at SAP. We have Mr. Mukesh J, who is the DGM IT at Olympic Pharma, and Mr. Reddy, who is the VP and Global Head of IT at Granules India, who's basically the CIO there. Mr. Reddy as well as Mr. Mukesh, welcome to the show. And Ritu, if you just want to start by giving us a brief in terms of what the discussion would be, and just a brief in terms of your thoughts.
Sure. Thanks, Ekta, and good to see you, Mr. Mukesh and Mr. Srinivas. I think the idea of this platform is very interesting. It's an informal conversation between industry leaders like you and industry, experts, which are invited for this forum. SAP is collaborating with CNBC 18 to get all of these insights to other organizations which are on the growth trajectory, right? So the idea is just to share knowledge, share your experiences. There are some drafted questions for sure you would have received, and we will have a good conversation for the next 45 minutes, which will give insights, hearing from experts like you, and the thoughts from SAP as well in collaboration with CNBC 18. So the idea is just to have that conversation right now. We are just waiting for two more speakers. I think they should join us any minute now, and then we are good to go.
Ekta, you are on mute.
The host, yeah. Ritu, please continue.
Yeah, so I think any prior questions? I think Mukesh, you had some. Does this give you a format understanding? Do you have any other questions that I or the team CNBC can take up?
We are going to be. So I don't have any much questions on that, but let's whenever we go for that forum, that we can have a discussion on it.
Sorry, Mukesh, we lost you initially. I think there is a lag of voice because even Ekta, we can't hear you.
No. So, ma'am, the thing is that actually, sir, whenever you're gonna speak, na sir, we are gonna unmute you, or else we have to keep you on mute because of the echo problem. So I guess you were on mute earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
And if,
So no
if
more
Mr.
questions,
Mukesh could increase his volume.
No much questions on that part, Ritu, but
Okay.
that's all. So we got the question, so we can discuss on one-to-one whenever required.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good. I think that's the whole intent. Team CNBC, any update on the other two speakers? We are 10 minutes into the thing.
Yeah, Radhika, hello.
Yeah. He's just joining actually. Mr. Saini is just joining. Just give us 1 minute, and I think we'll be able to start then. Just a minute, please.
Okay.
And what about Mr. Dikumarti?
Yeah, that also. I think with him they'll be having some issue in connecting. But the guest person is trying. But in any case, if Mr. Saini joins, then let's start. And if he joins, we
Yes.
can manage it in the middle. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, please.
One question, Ritu. So how you are going to be take a question? So it's a one by one to the every panelist. So how it's going to be?
So how they do it in this format, it's very well structured. The CNBC team, Ekta is hosting us today. Ekta will be posing questions to all of us. You have your set of questions. She will call out your name, ask the question. You go ahead, give your thoughts on that topic, and then she will keep moving. And you will see that the screen will keep moving with that effect, right? Whosoever is speaking, that person gets highlighted. And all four or five of us will be practically interacting in that format. So Ekta is the anchor, and she will be posing the questions. So Mukesh, you're joining from which office? You're in Alembic office today. Where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm in Olympic office today.
Okay. I think you guys shifted a building as well, right? Recently, in Mumbai?
No.
Okay.
So Mumbai, we have a different office. I'm sitting at Vadodara at my HO. So
Oh,
we have a
okay.
two office. So Mumbai has a domestic operation office.
Okay. I had visited that place once sometime back,
Okay.
pre-COVID times. So,
Okay.
and Srinivasa, you're joining us from Hyderabad office, am I right?
Hi, Mr. Vivek. Can you hear me, sir? Ritu ma'am, 1 second. Uh,
Sure, sure.
yeah. Hi, Mr. Vivek. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah,
Hi, sir.
I'm
Sir, we can you turn on your mic, sir? We are not able to see you.
Camera.
Hi, sir.
yeah, hi.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm Soumyajit from the CNBC team, sir. Sir, I would help you to set me with a good frame, sir, so that we can see you properly, sir. Sir, are you using a laptop, sir?
Yes,
Yeah. Sir, can you place it somewhere where, yeah. Sir, can you put any book or somewhere which is on it height of on your eye level, sir? Perfect, sir. Can you tilt your laptop screen a bit down, sir?
I'm using a Surface. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sir. Sir, can you basically we want you to make it little straight, sir, if you could, so that it is.
Is it
Uh,
right?
Sir, anything more you can keep, sir, to make it little straight, or else the internet connection is fine. Thus, much better, sir. Much better, sir. Can you help us remove the bags on your left, and the bottle, sir? Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Just place yourself in the middle, sir. Go to your left a bit more. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Can you see one option, sir? You're on your sir, on your right more, or else you can shift the surface a little more to your right.
Sorry, could you repeat? Sorry.
Sir, basically we want you to be in the middle, sir. Can you go to your left a bit more? Yeah, perfect, sir. So try to keep yourself in the middle, sir. So one last thing, there's an option called cam slash mic.
Right.
Yeah, can you select that one and select full or camera, then show advanced option, full high definition. Perfect, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We'll start the so the other guests have joined, sir. I'm just adding you to the discussion. Radhika, should we start without
Yes, I suggest we start. If Mr. Seni joins in the middle, then we'll add him. Not a problem.
oh, okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, let's start. Thanks.
Ritu ma'am, you can turn on your camera. Yeah.
Yep, here I am.
Srinivasan sir, register. Yeah. Okay. Right. So before we start the conversation, just two things to note. So basically, as we are joining all virtually, first of all, thank you for your time. I just want to mention two things so that we get the best feed output of yours. So when the other guest is speaking, I would request you can put yourself on mute, and there is one person who is going to take care of that. But if we forget to do this, just keep yourself on mute so that there's not an echo. Like for example, if Ritu ma'am is speaking, then the other guest can put yourself on mute. That's it, and try to keep yourself in the center, and rest is good to go. Okay, yeah, yeah, Ekta, we can
Hi,
start.
should I introduce Mr. Seni in the forum?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, Radhika, I
Because
think we
he's
should go
not
with the
Yes,
flow.
joining.
yes. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can introduce him. You can introduce
just
him.
just go
Okay.
with the
Is he
flow, and
joining or is he not joining? Because if he's not joining, then we'll have introduced him and he wouldn't be there for the whole panel.
Yeah. Apeksha, are you there on the stream? Uh, Sobhajit, is Apeksha there?
yes, yes, she is there.
Apeksha, should we introduce Mr. Seni? Will he be joining in another 5, 6 minutes? Let me
Maybe
call him. Just
she's. I think she is calling. Let's just start in a minute if he's not joining. Mr. Vivek, can you see yourself, sir?
Yes, I'm able to see.
Radhika, any update?
I think we should start.
Yeah, just I'm just calling.
Hi, guys, I'm here actually. There's some problem with Mr. Narendra actually. So I believe his boss is joining, he's the CIO. I'll just add the part. So Ekta, maybe we can do a recording, the intro part for him later, and we can start with the rest. He's just joining in like a minute. Yeah,
But can I have
thank
his
you.
name?
Yeah, that's what I've asked for his complete name. Go, Mr. Gopinath is what she told me. Uh, just one second. Huh? I'm putting it here in the chat window, huh, Ekta?
Okay, so should we start and he'll join in?
Yeah, fine.
Yes.
Just a second.
Okay.
Uh, I'll just Momita, you can take over.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to get the name right, I think will it be Fiji Gopinathan who is joining us?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have just put it in the chat window.
Fiji
Um,
Gopinathan. Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Vivek, can you turn on your camera, sir? Yeah.
So should I introduce Mr. Gopinathan? Because I don't
Yes,
see him.
yes. Yes, you can introduce him. He's just coming.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So let's start.
Yeah. Let's start. B- Momita, you take over. I'm checking the mute and
Okay.
okay. I'm putting everybody on backstage.
Ekta, we are ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm starting now. We're ready, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the Industry Knowledge Exchange Conclave brought to you by CNBC TV 18 in collaboration with SAP. This virtual summit is focused around understanding the role of technology and innovation in the life science industry and why building tech powered customer centricity is imperative in today's times. The session will begin with a keynote and will be followed by an interesting number of panel discussions. Well, for now, let's in fact focus on the wave of digital disruption, which has disrupted every sector, including life sciences, which is pushing the boundaries in the healthcare sector and changing the way care is provided. Organizations in the industry today need to build new technology forward strategies to compete with the flexibility and speed of digital natives. To achieve the digital goals, companies have elevated their digital agenda and have started creating a laundry list of digital use cases as well. As the sophistication of information technology progresses, the role of CIOs comes into focus in order to seed a culture of innovation within the organization. So, over the next 45 minutes, this is exactly what we are going to discuss. In fact, we have with us quite an esteemed panel. We have Mr. Gopinathan of Lupin, Mr. Digumarti of Loris Labs, Ritu Ranade of SAP, Mukesh J of Alembic Pharma, and Mr. Reddy of Granules India Limited. Welcome to this conversation, everybody. Well, I'm going to start, Mr. Digumarti, by asking you that digital transformation as a whole has gone through or has accelerated in terms of years when it's come to the pandemic. We've seen that with the Indian technology industry, and we've seen that in Indian healthcare as well. But from a company perspective, healthcare services were really the backbone of COVID 19, but there was a lot of disruption which took place initially. Where were we, and have we managed to accelerate when it comes to adoption in terms of healthcare services?
Right. Uh, so especially during pandemic, the complete technology has come into the place wherein we need to support the business. Especially, I can talk about an example. Uh, Basically, there are customers and auditors and regulatory agencies who visit our facilities. They see our process, and the mechanism of how the R&D, the labs, or the kind of structure, infrastructure that are in place. And accordingly, based on the processes, the approvals or new business are being provided. But since due to pandemic, they can't travel and they can't visit our facilities, the business growth has subsided dramatically and drastically, and then the approvals process has also gone for a toss. So to overcome all these, we have to adopt new technologies. We brought in the virtual glass through which we can provide virtual tools by collaborating with MS Teams or WebEx, so that even our global customers virtually they can see our facilities, they can see our process, all the controls what we follow, especially the qualification process or the methodologies, everything can be seen virtually. Even the documentation process, lively, they can see it from anywhere across the globe, and this created confidence and a lot of approvals and a lot of new business growth has exponentially increased in the last 1.5 year. So this is just a gist of new technologies which has come into the picture all of a sudden, which we never envisaged before. Likewise, there are many manual processes which we used to follow. For example, any for approvals, we used to have paper-based forms where the HODs, the approvers, they used to sign, right? So while we are working from home during pandemic period, uh, all this process we have made it automated through online, and applications have been brought in so that we can collect all this information in the digitally, and then processing these information, digital information, by keeping into a data lake, and getting those analytics and dashboards which help the business and to the top management as well of where we stand on as on today, and what is the future growth they could able to envisage based on this digital data.
Okay. Well, I think we have Mr. Gopinathan joining in, so we're just going to pause for a second for him to join into this conversation. Guys, do we have Mr. Gopinathan joining in?
Yeah, so he was here, but he dropped again. Maybe you can continue with the
Okay,
discussion.
sure. So please let me
Yes.
continue then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Ritu, I just wanted to come to you with regards to what the latest trends might be in terms of digital transformation being adopted by pharma companies globally, and what has changed post-COVID and pre-COVID as well.
Valid and important question in today's time post COVID. What's the major trend? What's happening in these industries in India, globally? What we get to see is very interesting. I think digital transformation is super critical. Improved patient care, cost effectiveness, greater transparency, improved production, drug development is on the minds of most pharmaceutical organizations. The digital transformation, the change post the era from where we are living right now in the pharma industry has a larger impact. More so, the business to manufacture counterfeit proof medication and have guarantee for the medication, which has been the authenticity of the medication, is also becoming a key focus. Uh, the major trend setting or the major change that we are also seeing is empowered patients and personalization. Delivery of personalized patient solutions at scale and as a service is the need of the hour for how we are transforming this industry. Moving basically to cloud is another operational efficiency metric that we're seeing the pharma industry driving in a very structured way. If you see, pharma industry has abundance of data. This is all on the network and devices. Cloud is the ideal way for optimizing the resources, analyzing this data, making it available, and operate at a scale which the pharma industry demands right now. So these are the major trends, apart from mobile communication, the advanced analytics, digital marketing. where you can reach to your end patients, your end customers much faster in a very structured way is a major trend that we are seeing change in the healthcare and the pharma industry.
Okay, I think Ritu, we're just going to try and get you to answer the question
Hello.
again because I think there was a little bit of a lag. So, Ritu, I'm going to ask you this question again.
Ekta, just a second.
Yeah,
Hi, Ritu ma'am. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. There was a lag,
Yes.
ma'am. Is it okay if you can do the question again?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll do that
sorry.
again.
And also, Narendra sir has joined. Hi, sir. Can you hear me? Sir, you are on mute, sir. Hi,
Yeah, I can
Narendra
hear
sir.
you. Hi.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Sir, so we
Sorry
are
for the delay. There was
we
some confusion. Yeah. Go
It's
ahead.
okay, sir. Sir, we started a discussion already. So whenever you are answering, the other guests are answering, I'm going to put you on mute, sir. But Ekta is going to come back to you, and Ekta is anchoring the show. Ekta, Narendra sir has joined us.
sure. Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll just continue the conversation.
yeah, yeah.
Ritu, I just wanted to understand what are the latest trends in digital transformation, which is in fact being adopted by pharma companies globally, especially post-COVID.
Absolutely, Ekta. There are major observations in this industry, and I would just narrate some highlights or some key points as to what we're observing as a trend setting. In the pharmaceutical industry, majorly, the digital transformation is very, very critical. We are seeing organizations focus on cost effectiveness, improved patient care, create larger transparency and improve production time as well, right? This is one of the major focus areas. And if you see the underlying area, the underlying bit which is happening is how do you improve or enable pharmaceutical businesses to manufacture counterfeit proof medication, which is another trend or which is another area which is becoming highly important. If we are also looking at what's been globally in the mind frame, and we see India adopt it as well very well, is the empowered patient and personalization, delivering of personalized patient solutions as a service is also becoming the need of the hour. From a technology point of view, moving to cloud purely from an operational efficiency is also a focus area for a lot of large pharmaceutical organizations, which we have observed. They're taking it not as a transformation, but a must have. There's a lot of data in their network, in their devices, how to collaborate, how to get this data together and make it scalable on a platform has been a major, major trend. Apart from this, there are the very obvious, because of the way the operations have changed, is the mobile communication, adopting cloud, advanced analytics. And yes, the digital marketing area has also become a very major trend setting change in the pharma and the healthcare industry.
Okay, all right. Personalized medication and personalized healthcare is probably one of the most transformative things. But Ritu touched upon cloud, and many companies are moving towards cloud, adopting cloud, and they think it's a must have now. Mr. Mukesh, what are your thoughts, and what has been the transition according to you? Okay, I think you need to just put your unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. So I think Ritu is mentions are very correct. That's the pharma industries we are using. We are moving. We are adopting the technology very fast due to that COVID era. Now the requirements are coming so fast from the user point of view in the user department. They need more, not less than what they expected, what they expect now. Now, Ritu also mentioned that one thing that about the clouds. So clouds, what cloud is providing for the pharma companies, it giving a scalability and mobility and give the access from anywhere. So redundancy to give the access from the one locations or particular locations is gone if you move the data on cloud. So definitely we are also moving and slowly moving on that part because of the certain restrictions or that certain rules that we have to follow. So we cannot move all the data immediately on cloud, but definitely that is on our path that we have to move the data on cloud. Second, it's right to mention about the mobility. So what we have done in last this thing that we implement so many applications to give the options onto mobiles for any workflows and approvals, and we have to reduce the paperwork. Which earlier what happening, that paper was moving from one desk to another desk. So we remove that processes for certain processes which we can do immediately. So, and we have a plan to digitize some more processes where we are taking, earlier we are taking a print, the papers are moving from one location to another location. But now, I think in future, from next 1 to 1 year, that most of the critical processes will be on digitization mode. So manual process will be end on that part.
Okay. Mr. Reddy, in your experience, how has COVID probably helped in terms of acceleration of digitization, according to you?
Yeah, thanks. So according to me, and actually speaking, the digitalization or digital transformation is already there in the industry for several years. The only thing is the COVID has accelerated the requirement of the digitalization. So that's what I look into it. Now, coming to the this pandemic situation, because of this, the work from home scenario and travel restrictions and all, so there is a huge demand for remote access, remote operations, work from different offices or work from home. So that has created a lot of opportunities for various software implementations and software vendors. But according to me, most of the softwares, what we talk about, operating from different areas and all, they're already in the industry. But most important thing is, when we especially talk about pharmaceutical industry, where the drug manufacturing units, which are, typically placed in remote areas, right? So, internet availability is one of the major challenge. What we normally see on a day to day when you are accessing. But apart from that, the COVID has helped us a lot to accelerate and the multiply our systems requirement and implement various systems where we can have online integrations, like whether it is a QMS or SAP or plant automations or some kind of I2OT technologies. So that has significantly increased. Uh, of course, there is another advantage for the business is due to these automations and getting out of human dependency, that has increased companies' revenue as well. And also from the audit's point of view or compliance point of view, that has increased trustworthiness of the data because of non-human oriented actions. And it has reduced human related or human originated mistakes. So definitely the COVID has helped us from IT point of view a lot, from the digital transmission point of view.
Okay, all right. COVID has at least had one positive impact, which is acceleration of digital transformation or adoption. But Mr. Seni, in your opinion, where would you probably place India when it comes to digital adoption, even post COVID, as compared to your global peers? Because we just heard one of the guests say that cloud access is taking place, but it is still a slow process at this point in time. So I'm talking about cloud, but we have a long way to go when it comes to other pieces of technology in terms of adoption as well. Your sense in terms of where we are, even post COVID, when it comes to digitization and healthcare?
Yeah, well, I think good question. If we really have to see pre-COVID and post-COVID, we probably 5 years we are already started this activity, but I think post-COVID is definitely has taken much faster pace. If you to look at the adoption of digital post-COVID era, I think India would be in one of the top three countries. Would not be wrong to say that it could be even the leading in digital adoption across the globe. But we are one of the leading countries, definitely. If you've seen a lot of initiative across the pharma as a sector, I believe almost every company is moving into adopting digital in almost everything. We have been to multiple, have multiple discussions with people in this segment. Almost everyone has gone for remote audit, and it's not only for Lupin for that matter, right? It's for other companies as well. Almost everyone has started an RPA journey, robotic process automation journey, right? and it's just taking pace, faster and faster pace. I believe would rate in top three, globally in the digital adoption. May not be we are digitally at that level. If you have to look at how digital we are with respect to the global market, we may still be, a little laggard. Maybe in top, I would say somewhere between 10 to 15, maybe up to 20 places. But adoption wise, I believe next couple of years are very, very important. By 25, I think we'll be one of the leading, we are anyway called as pharmacy of the world, right? So we'll be one of the leading, digital healthcare country. And I believe by 2030, as we talked about, it will go into a few $100 billion for pharma business. I think we'll be there. We'll be one of the top one or two in both, as well as adoption and at the same time the status, current status.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a very optimistic scenario, Mr. Seni. But I take your point that yes, we probably accelerated. But when it comes to adoption of technology per se, or being innovative in terms of technology, we still probably have a long way to go. But just a follow-up question, Mr. Seni, do you think that this is the new normal? You mentioned remote audits, but a lot of the, say, for example, clients and auditors do want to see things physically as well. So this might just be a transitory phase, or do you think that this is the new normal, that remote audits or anything which is digital and replaced something which was done physically pre-COVID would now probably become a norm?
So I think you have to see this as a transition. Uh, Whether there are new norms that we have post-COVID, but if you really have to look at, people who are still old, people who have been using these things for last 15, 20, 30 years for so much of time, right? So it won't be easy to change everything, just by, within a year, by just one pandemic, just like that. But yeah, it has set the right pace. So if you have to look at new normal, it will become a new normal for maybe a couple of years down the line. But the transition is on. I think with the comfort of remote audit, just as an example, I'm taking again, it has added to a lot of comfort and speed of the audit process overall, right? And lowering the cost as well. At the same time, so if you see across the value chain, there are 3 or 4 benefits which are sizable benefit, which has cost associated with it, cost benefit also associated with it. Definitely, this is something which industry will take ahead. So still there are people who are still belong to the previous generation. So I would believe that this is a transition of generation and transition of technology. This phase, I have to see for another couple of years, this transition will still be in that phase.
Okay, all right. So maybe then this could be a transition or a transitory step. But Ritu, just coming to you, if you could give us any anecdotal evidence, any kind of examples on how pharma organizations, in fact, have thrived through what we've seen has been an extremely challenging time when with digital transformation. Some anecdotal evidence, some examples.
Sure. It's actually interesting to see closely. We are in the middle of, I would say, a revolution here. Digital transformation in the pharma world, that revolution. Some numbers that I saw read this way, that the pharmaceutical sector in India specifically, and I would agree to what Mr. Sani was saying, is expected to grow at a CAGR of 12%. We are currently at a 41.7 billion in 2020. That was the stat at 2020, and now it's expected to grow at about 130 billion by 2030. That's exponential. That's where technology is going to play a huge role. And the examples around it, let me give you 2 very interesting pieces which we have seen over the last 1 year. And the COVID-19 disruption was a real eye opener for the industry. It was quite a challenge to time to keep the business continuity due to the API availability, a logistic disruption, workforce availability, and so on. Many of our customers used Ariba, discovery and sourcing to quickly discover the alternate source of supply. How do you find the alternate source of supply? They used the supply chain solutions to manage the end-to-end serviceability. That was a very transformative way to see how you could use a platform like Ariba and get to the next source of supply to keep the continuity on. Another brilliant example globally, which I would love to share with the audience, is there's this large global pharmaceutical company which SAP developed a smart app, and the company's name is Boehringer Ingelheim. And the smart app, which enables law enforcement officially to potentially detect illicit or fake counterfeit medication, and they are tied up with the government and the local authorities, which are getting smuggled. So they kind of block those availability in real time. So the complete challenge that organizations face of counterfeit medication is solved by this SAP app and collaboration with pharmaceutical organizations. That's been another observation that we have seen, which has worked in the favor of the end customer.
Okay, all right. Some interesting examples there, and coming in from Ritu. But Mr. Digumarti, in your sense, what do you think would probably be the need of the hour when it comes to pharmaceutical companies and digitization?
Uh, so one is on the security aspect, and the other is on the automation, which includes even the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So using them, we can create the analytics dashboards, which will help in envisaging the next potential business growth and issues, and accordingly we can mitigate them. Number one. Number two, on the security aspect, as you know, the pharma has been attacked by various hackers of late. So, lot of security controls. We have to ensure our data are safe. We need to protect our data and ensure we mitigate all the ransomware or malwares that come into our network. So there are a lot of application services that has come into picture of late, and most of the pharma companies and peers with whom I have interacted, of late we are absorbing those technologies, uh, and along with the automation piece.
Okay, all right. Mr. Reddy, would you agree that maybe security as well as automation would probably be the most required digital transformation tools for Indian pharma?
Yes, I mean, I certainly agree. But so, as far as this challenging times are concerned, so the most important factor what we evaluated is, how can we provide the access of all the applications, the day-to-day transactions, applications to the employees who are working from home. Obviously, the one comes in the mind is the connectivity part. So that we have addressed through, increasing the bandwidth and providing the internet access to all the people so that they can access from remote locations. And the second is which Vivek was saying, the security aspect, because once the organization network is open to outside, though we talk about secure VPN and other point to point solutions, but still obviously the security is one of the major aspect what we need to cover and we have covered during these days. So obviously those two are the major components.
Okay, all right. Mukesh, there was this one comment with regards to restrictions or maybe regulatory challenges to adopt technology when it comes especially to pharmaceuticals. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, definitely. So, whenever we discuss about that pharma, any processes that we are going through, either it's a manual or discussion, definitely we have to work into the GXP environment, and that we have to follow that processes, which is where we are working in the environment with the multiple multiple authorities that and the rules of the authorities that we have to follow. So definitely, whenever we start off the thinking of the digitization process of any manual processes, we have to be keep in the mind that it should be in GXP compliant process. We have to be get each and every details audit logs must be available for that particular products and processes that we have to be keep ready with that. What happening that earlier with the COVID era and if you say after that COVID, the department which are handling this activity, they may be rigid why we need a digitization of the processes. We are happy and the authorities are happy with the manual processes. Now after that they also understand in the situation of the COVID how we can move the data from, or we can move the manual processes from one place to another process. So we have to be digitize all the processes. However, while doing a digitization of the processes, we should not left any points, that we should not follow the points, and we should not, uh, if I say that, we should not forget about the processes which we are already, or controls which we already have in manual processes. So these are the challenges that we face during this, do any digitization of the processes.
Okay, Ritu, what are your thoughts? Do you think that one of the biggest challenges in India is the fact that people are complacent in terms of where they are, and they just don't want to adopt technology because they're happy with using what they are using currently? Is that a challenge which you've seen in India? Is it peculiar to India, or is it across the globe?
I think it's a very valid question and to the point. I wouldn't put it from an India perspective, but I would put it as a user behavior change. That's something which is very critical. You look at us, we used to go in stores and pick up a milk packet. Today, post COVID, we are ordering everything online. Now, our generation would be able to do it. Think about somebody in their 50s and 60s. That's a big change, it's adoption. So I would say it is taking a while, but I think as the speakers were saying, COVID has changed the way we look at technology. We were initially talking about technology as not a must-have. We were talking it about the CIOs were facing challenge of how do they maintain the existing landscape. Today, the user behavior has been accelerated because we have understood that if we had to be connected, we had to use the best of service, we had to be in the best of technology. Adopting what you have in a timely manner is a change of user behavior, which the organizations need to drive. The CIOs are becoming a part of the board. They are taking decisions on how this change is going to impact the organizational growth. So I would say we've come a far way. And if we all can collectively, not from a function point of view, but we really look at how the user behavior is changing, I see that as a great sign going ahead.
Look at things from a bird's eye view. You look at companies on a global scale. So while India has progressed, while we have accelerated by, say, 4 to 5 years when it comes to digital adoption, where would you place India vis-a-vis our global competitors, say in China, say in the US, when it comes to adopting digital technology in a pharmaceutical company?
Ekta, we missed you initially. You were on mute.
Okay, well, Ritu, I'm just going to repeat my question because, Ritu, you managed to see things from a bird's eye view. You managed to see things from a global scale, and India is one part of it. So, in your sense, how exactly is India placed when it comes to digitization in the pharmaceutical industry as compared to the Boehringer Ingelheims and the Pfizers and the Tevas of the world?
Uh, Very good. I think if we're positioned extremely competitive. As you heard Mr. Saini say that we are the pharmaceutical of the world now. The perspective has changed. We are with the adoption of technology, with being available, being with absolutely cloud ready. We are in the top, two or three competing countries as to how we are looking at the challenge in India. And what everybody gets excited is for the volume of business, for the volume of people that we cater to, and not only in India but the global exports imports that we cater to, right? I think we are positioned very well from an economic standpoint. I look at the APJ behavior as to where India contributes. We're always number one. SAP has been looking at it very importantly as to now how do we make it all from a growth perspective, sustainable growth perspective, right? India is positioned extremely well. Organizations are looking at growth themselves. So I would say that we are in a much faster moving pace and very well positioned at this point of time.
Okay, all right, Mr. Sen, I just want to take that point forward because the feedback that we get is that for companies, say, globally placed and are at the cutting edge of innovation, cloud is something of the past. Probably, it's a must-have for us, but it's something which is not even spoken about when it comes to probably technology in many of the companies which have moved far ahead. So give us a sense in terms of how far we need to go in order to reach some kind of scale when it comes to technology adoption.
Uh, Ekta, you can continue. He has dropped, so I'll ask him the question later.
Okay. Mr. Mukesh, the question to you, we talk about cloud adoption, but companies abroad, global companies have already moved past that, and they seem to be at the cutting edge of innovation. So from that perspective, do you think India is lagging and India has some way to go?
Yeah, that's correct. That's a correct. So adoptions of the cloud in India, it's going on. It's I'm not saying that it's not going on. It's going on at its pace. There are so many. If you have to we have to see in the different way. So there are this depend on the industry to industry. So if I'm especially if you are asking me about the pharma industry, definitely we are going on the cloud. As I mentioned earlier, not immediately, but slowly we are moving our critical infrastructure to the cloud.
Okay, well, maybe we can put that question to Mr. Digumarti. Mr. Digumarti, according to you, where is India when it comes to simple things such as digital technology adoption? Indian companies are just about saying cloud is a must-have. Global companies have moved past that.
So, as Narendra said earlier, we are very much poised to become one of the top leaders. I would say one of the top three countries India we can look forward in the near future. We are already, in fact, outsmarted on the R&D space. Recently, I've even heard that Hyderabad has become the global R&D center. So very soon we will be one of the pioneers in the pharma industries, where all latest technologies, digital transformation, everything will be on par and over and above any country to compare with.
Is when it comes to say priorities as a CIO in the next 6 to 12 months.
Ekta, please ask this question again.
Mr. Reddy, now coming to you, where do you think you are placed when it comes to say priorities as a CIO in the next 3 to 6 months, as well as a longer term horizon of say 3 years?
Okay, yeah. So as far as the priorities is concerned, for me, of course, it looks very funny, but for me, the most important priority is changing the people mindset. Because, of course, we were talking about adoption, but eventually this adoption needs to be is possible only by the people who change their mindset. Because if you see the history, most of the pharma industry companies are head by very senior guys who are there in the industry past 30, 40 years. So obviously for them, this kind of technology and online transactions and remote access and all, so these are definitely new for them. So changing the people mindset is my top priority. So we need to educate them and we need to make them understand the benefits out of the technology in terms of the business numbers as well as other compliance activities. So that will be my most important and top priority activity. And coming to the second, we need to though we have multiple systems in place, but most challenging aspect is how can we integrate the entire system so that we have one single integrated system where the data will be shake hand and we will be benefiting out of getting out of this data islands, and we can have the better visibility of the data as well as the online transaction. So technology implementation is my second priority. But to start with, obviously we need to start from down to top rather than top to down. So implementation of SAP, for example, is not a big deal. But when it comes to the shop floor level, where the lot of equipments and instruments are available, and most of the instruments as on today, they are not even in a network. So the ground level technology implementation, uh, that should be my second topmost priority.
Okay, all right. So that the first priority is skill set, changing the mindset, and second is the ground level implementation, which is coming in from Mr. Reddy in terms of priorities. Mr. Mukesh, would you agree that maybe that would probably be one of the biggest challenges that an Indian company is has a big legacy, it has a larger workforce, which is or a top workforce which is older, and hence changing the mindset would probably be one of the key challenges.
Ekta, Mr. Mukesh is not here, but Mr. Narendra is here.
Okay, all right. Mr. Seni, would you agree that that would probably be one of the key challenges, changing the mindset of a large pharma company, which is headed mainly by older promoters or older management?
Well, I think to a large extent, I agree. Changing the mindset is going to be one of the big challenge for everyone. Apart from that, getting the right skill set on board is very very important. That's another challenge, I believe, and there are innovative ways to work around that one. I believe when we started on this journey, early on, we became one of the first pharma company to have shop floor, top floor integration activities started early this year. But we realized that the talent pool and the mindset was a big challenge that time itself. We started a few programs, so few innovative ideas that we have started working on, and then happy to say that these things are working out. Definitely the top priorities, changing the mindset. Shop floor, top floor is one activities when it is about the manufacturing, but I think it's not only the manufacturing that is changing. There are a lot of other things are changing in the pharma space. The supply chain is completely getting revamped. We have seen a lot of issues with supply chain in last in the COVID times, and almost everyone wants to put in the right efforts. If I have to look at the sales and marketing space, that is also changing big time. There are a lot of emphasis on how to get into healthcare segment. Okay, so from pharma to healthcare is the transition that most of the companies are looking at. So I think the entire landscape, the pharma value chain, that is changing, and I think as the kind of a role that I am in, and I think most of my colleagues over here, they are into the topmost priority is to take the decisions on the technology adoptions, and that means looking at the right technology, selecting the right technology that basically you can look at a long term approach. Also because these technology investment are capex intensive, that means you cannot really think a short term benefit out of it. You have to look at long term benefit. So the long term goals would also need to be somewhere defined at this stage. So you will have to look at 3 to 5 years horizon at this stage itself to start working on these priorities. So I would not be able to really comment on 3 to 6 months timeline, but 3 to 5 years horizon is what we have to look at, and that's only the time when we can start taking returns in the investment or technology investment that we do now.
Okay, all right, 3 to 5 years horizon. But Mr. Dikumarti, would you agree that maybe 3 to 5 years is where we could probably see a return on investment when it comes to all the transformational decisions which you are making currently?
3 years would be really optimistic. Maybe 5 years would be a good time to recover the ROI.
Okay, all right. But would we be able to see it on the P&L in, say, 5 years?
Yeah, 5 to 6 years or 7 years max.
Okay, all right. Ritu, coming to you, there's been a distinct difference when we talk about personalized healthcare in the US and in many other companies, and mainly tech companies are basically becoming healthcare companies, the Amazons of the world and the Apples of the world. For us to get there, how long do you think it will probably take? Or do you think that we're too far behind? Because as of now, we're just about adopting technology in the way we work. Innovation is a long goal.
Yeah. Very thoughtful question, Ekta. I would say for us to go on that path, there are still a couple of steps, couple of processes, integration across the landscape. Those are the pertinent questions which do exist across the CIO mindset, right? What we are observing is the decision making is not anymore in a silo. So I wouldn't say that it's impossible to shift to becoming a healthcare focused, not depending on not looking at an IT company becoming a healthcare, but a core pharma, core healthcare driving with IT. So that transition is happening. We are seeing some brilliant examples where organizations are talking about solutions like customer experience and going around the marketing thought process of how they're going to reach out to their customers before, while they're fixing the supply chain and while they're fixing the R&D or the manufacturing core issues that they're looked at. So the thought process shift, which we have seen in a lot of CIOs, a lot of decision makers across the board, is they're looking at a landscape, keeping in mind the time scale that most of the speakers here have mentioned, a 3-year kind of a life scale if you're looking at for transformation. The ideal process which you have seen is a consolidated view to the IT landscape. How is a customer experience going to be? How is the people experience going to be? Because rightly said, having high skilled laborers is also becoming important. And if you fix that as a complete piece, as a jigsaw piece, then core healthcare, core pharma becoming the first to knock on a door at direct customer end would not be far away.
Yeah, well, let's get in some last comments then from our guests. In fact, Mr. Saini, let's come with you. Let's go to you with regards to a pharmaceutical company being digital as compared to doing digital. Where do you think we will be, say 3 years down the line? Do you think we'll be a digital company as opposed to any kind of digital initiatives that will be undertaken? And your sense in terms of how India is progressing as a whole.
Yeah, well, being digital and doing digital are two different things. I think very well articulated, Ekta. So I believe doing digital is almost common across the board. Almost everybody is doing something or the other about the digital adoption part. But being digital is a different ball game altogether. I think this is something that will take time. 3 to 5 years is I think I would agree with my colleague. 3 years would be optimistic if we have to really look at being digital. Yeah, that is a complete transformation that we are talking about. Being digital will take time. Doing digital, I think, is already on course.
Okay. All right, Mr. Digmamarti, what about your sense in terms of being a digital company as compared to doing digital?
Yeah, becoming a digital company, especially a pharma company, might be a little difficult. But having said it, yes, it's a journey. Uh, Probably yes, in between 3 to 5 years, optimistically, it will completely transform into digital.
Okay. All right, Mr. Reddy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with Narendra also what he was saying. So as far as the digital is concerned, of course, we are already on digital journey since few years, and as I said earlier, the COVID has just accelerated it. So, but complete, so the digitalization again, the partial and the complete. So complete, I agree with other colleagues that it takes 3 to 5 years to get into certain level of digitalization. But the most important thing what I perceive is the sustainability, because implementation of a system is not going to help us unless until we sustain on it. So we we need to see when we select the system or the solution, we need to see with some long term vision, at least not less than 5 years, just to get better ROI and safeguard our capital expenses. So sustainability in digitalization is most important factor of what I see.
Okay, sustainability of digital initiatives is also one of the most important factors. I'm not sure if we have Mr. Mukesh with us, but let me try my luck. Mr. Mukesh, your last thoughts? Okay, I don't think we have Mr. Mukesh with us. But Ritu, let's leave it to the lady. Your closing comments with regards to this very interesting conversation, where yes, India has accelerated in terms of adoption, but still has a long way to go when it comes to innovation. And there are top priorities such as groundwork execution, as well as security, automation, and most importantly, changing the mindset. So, according to you, when do you think pharmaceutical companies can become digital pharmaceutical companies and not just do digital initiatives?
Yeah, thank you, Ekta. I think it's what's on everybody's mind is the end customer value. And I'm sure the pharmaceutical organizations have had a very different way of looking at their manufacturing process, supply chain process post pandemic, and even before, right? Um, I think the acceleration this industry is seeing, the growth that the industry is seeing at this point is tremendous. And there is a far more support from the cloud, the hyperscalers, the cloud organizations, and core applications like SAP to them to actually help them accelerate this growth. Um, yes, it's challenging for organizations for availability of skill and on the time scale that we're trying to fix a lot of things. So yes, the time frame could be debatable, and I would agree to the core decision makers and executors in this call that it's a challenge. But I wouldn't say that we are not on that path. We are absolutely on that path. 3 to 5 years, we are going to look at very different. We never anticipated buying medication online. We never anticipated cloud as a core and no more digital transformation conversation. We never anticipated operational efficiency and and technology going hand in hand. So looking at the past, looking at how the last 2 years have been, and looking at India's growth story, pharmaceutical industry is pegged at a very sweet spot. And I'm sure if they adopt the right technology in the right mind frame, the scale of time is a debatable aspect, but I see it as a very very near future.
Okay, very near future, and maybe the timeline is something which is debatable 3 years, 5 years, but India will eventually definitely get there when it comes to adoption of technology within the Indian pharmaceutical space. Thank you, Ritu, Mr. Digumarti, Mr. Saini, Mr. Mukesh, as well as Mr. Reddy, and the rest for joining into this conversation and discussing your insights with regards to where India is when it comes to technology in life sciences. Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you.
Ritu ma'am, request you to stay for some time.
Sure.
Yeah. Saini sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Sir, as you joined later, sir, so I'll just need 20 seconds of your time to take the naughties.
Yeah.
Let
Okay.
others go, Soumyaji.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vivek, thank you for your time, sir. You can drop, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
can also drop, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Vivek.
Thank
you.
you, Srinivasa.
Okay.
Can you just do the introduction again?
Yeah. Just a minute. Yes, sir. Hi, sir. Nayan, sir. So I just want you to nod. I think it's very foolish to ask, but just need your nodding a bit so that we can patch it later that you were from the beginning.
I actually didn't fully get it. Can you come back
Sir,
again?
I want you to look at the screen and nod so that we can cheat in the post production that you were in the beginning, sir.
Okay.
So it's like you are listening to a conversation and you are reacting to it. So you can listen to me and nod. So some serious nodding and some like
Okay.
light nodding. So for
Okay.
10 seconds, sir. So let's start with your serious nodding.
I can keep something like this, or
Yes, sir. Very interesting, sir. You can do that. Soumyaji, take over.
yeah.
So, hello, Ritu ma'am,
Ritu, that was nice talking to you. I think nice listening to you. I think let's connect off late. Yeah, offline.
Absolutely, Narendra. Would look forward for connecting with you soon.
Yeah, sure.
thank you,
Anything else
ma'am.
for me?
No, sir. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. I just wanted to take the noddings. Thank you, sir.
sure, sure. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah.
Hi,
Great. Can
hi,
I
Ritu.
too?
Yeah, yeah, Ritu, ma'am. So just one thing. Radhika, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, Radhika has something to say, ma'am.
Sorry.
You wanted the that answer now to do
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Only the second answer where we felt there was an audio glitch. You can just
Yeah, yeah,
record that for the review.
yeah, ma'am.
But we just recorded it. We re-recorded it. I
No, no,
asked the
no.
Yeah.
same question again.
So there was a glitch again. There was a glitch again.
I can't
Yes.
even remember the question.
I think your
Uh,
second question was cite a few examples from the pharma organizations. That one?
No, I
yes,
don't
yes.
think it was.
Just I'll just check the script. So I think so it was to the what are the latest trends in digital transformation?
Yeah. So should I ask the question again?
Ma'am, would you like to answer it again, or else we have a take?
Uh, Up to you, Somajit. You're driving it. Let me know if you need. I can answer it once more. Couple of
Yes, ma'am. I
lines.
would really like it. Will be more interactive. If you have time, then we would love to have that.
Yeah, a quick one. Just that one
Yeah,
question, right?
yeah. It's just one question, ma'am. That's it. We have your
Got it.
nodding and everything. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Victor, over to you.
Okay, well, Ritu, if you could cite a few examples on how pharma companies have thrived through these challenging times with digital transformation.
Absolutely, Ekta. If you take one step back and look at what's happening, we're in the middle of revolution, a digital transformation in the pharma world. The pharmaceutical sector, specifically in India, is experiencing a CAGR growth of 12%. We were somewhere about 41 billion in 2020, and it's expected to grow to 130 billion by 2030. This is exponential, and that's the revolution, is the way I look at it. In the COVID-19 disruption, it was a real eye opener for most of the industries, but specifically to pharma, it was more challenging for them to keep the business continuity. Due to API availability, logistics disruption, workspace availability, and so on. Many of our customers used Ariba discovery and sourcing to quickly discover the source of supply, I think, to keep the supply chain on. They used a supply chain suite of solutions to manage the end to end serviceability. So that was a good trend to see as to how technology is enabling supply chain in the case of post COVID. I would like to highlight another great example of usage of digital technology, which has a direct impact on reducing counterfeit. SAP developed a smart app in collaboration with the world's largest pharmaceutical company. It's Boehringer Ingelheim. The smart app, which was developed, which enabled the law enforcement officials to potentially find the illicit, counterfeit, or unapproved medication of Ingelheim medicines and being smuggled into the United States. So this was a real-time impact of how you could still have the original medication going to the end users and how technology played. And SAP played a critical role here with one of the largest pharmaceutical companies.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That's it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please just record my introduction quickly.
Yes.
I need to
Yes.
leave.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Uh,
guys. I'm going to log off. Good chatting up with you, Ekta. It was pretty interactive. You asked a lot of good questions.
Thanks, Ritu. It was a great conversation. We should connect outside of this.
Absolutely. We should do that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. You have a good day, guys. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Radhika. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, yeah. So Ekta will start with the intro first. So
Guys, I have
I'll
to leave in 5 minutes, so please start.
yeah. So I'm just saying so that you have everything on place. So basically, we have to do two things. For three things. First, the intro and the outro. Okay, along with the nodding. And also in the outro, you don't mention any names because there might be one more guest. So you can just say thank you all for joining. It was nice to have. So we can end that in the post production. That is a thing. And one last thing is like, just a second, I've noted it down. Let's do that first thing, and I'll just see. Let's start.
Also, can we place the document in a manner, Ekta, that it looks as if you are, it doesn't appear, the reading thing doesn't come out? Because as of now, it appears a little red through. That's why.
Well, it'll be difficult, but I'll try. Okay.
Thank.
Well, the wave of digital disruption has, sorry, I'm starting now. I can't, I have to put it down here. Well, the wave of digital disruption disrupted every sector, including life sciences, pushing the boundaries in the healthcare sector and changing the way care is provided. Organizations in the industry today need to build new technology forward strategies to compete with the flexibility and speed of digital natives. To achieve the digital goals, companies have elevated the digital agenda and have started creating a laundry list of digital use cases. As the sophistication of IT progresses, the role of CIOs come into focus in order to seed a culture of innovation within the organization. Well, to discuss all this and more, we have an esteemed panel of guests today. We have Mr. Saini of Lupin, Mr. Digumarti of Loris Labs, Ritu Ranade of SAP, Mr. Mukesh J of Alembic Pharma, and Mr. Reddy of Granules India Limited, and Mr. Anjani Kumar of Strides. Welcome to the conversation, everybody.
Ekta, you are looking very much down. I have put in the chat box. Can you just read it from there? I'll just within the
Okay.
organization. So just a second. As the sophistication, till that only it got posted. The next part I'm posting again. Thank you for doing this.
Well, the wave of digital disruption disrupted every sector, including life sciences, really pushing the boundary in the healthcare sector and changing the way care, in fact, is provided. Organizations in the industry today have to build new technology forward strategies to compete with the flexibility and speed of digital natives. To achieve the digital goals, in fact, companies have elevated their digital agenda and have started creating a laundry list of digital use cases. As the sophistication of information technology progresses, the role of CIOs also comes into focus. So, to discuss this and more, and how exactly technology is going to progress in the pharmaceutical space 3 to 5 years hence, we have an esteemed panel of guests with us: Mr. Saini of Lupin Limited, Mr. Digumarti of Loris Labs, Ritu Ranade of SAP, Mukesh J of Alembic Pharma, and Srinivas Reddy of Granules, as well as Mr. Anjani Kumar of Strides. Welcome to the conversation.
That was perfect. Never. Now the outro.
If we can just get Anjani's questions, do you need that?
Yeah, we'll need 2 questions. If you could just help us record 2.
So I'm just asking, can you take it?
Yeah.
Okay, Anjani, if you could just explain to us, how exactly have you managed to adopt your technology post-COVID? What were your key learnings, and what do you think were your key challenges as well? Okay, Anjani, we're going to end this conversation by getting some thoughts with regards to, sorry. Well, Anjani, according to you, do you think that 3 to 5 years hence, India is going to be probably much more forward in terms of technology adoption as compared to what we are today relative to the globe?
Ekta, can you give one more take of this? We might switch, so don't say end.
Okay. Well, Anjani, in your sense, do you think that 3 to 5 years is a possible target in terms of reaching technology transformation when it comes to pharmaceuticals?
That was fine. Radhika, yeah, I've pasted the guest name. One more guest name was there, na?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's introduced him.
Yeah. And just a last question. Anjani, if you could just give us your closing thoughts. Yeah. Now, do you need a close?
Yes, close without mentioning any name. Just thank all the guests and
Yeah.
little. That's it.
Okay. Okay, well, that was a very insightful conversation that yes, India is progressing when it comes to adoption of technology in healthcare, but maybe there could be some amount of time before we actually get there, a possible horizon of 3 to 5 years. Thank you very much, Ritu, as well as the rest for joining in to this conversation today.
One last thing. This is the question to the Ritu. So as she's the SAP guest, if there is a glitch, so we have a backup for this.
I'm sorry?
Can you ask this question to Ritu as she's the SAP speaker? So we have a backup if there's any
What
problem.
question?
I paste it in the comment box.
Well, Ritu, specifically for you, some of us have been early adopters in terms of transforming their businesses. 1 second. Well, Ritu, specifically for you, just wanted to understand that some of the companies have been early adapters in terms of transforming their businesses digitally. How do you think you've particularly benefited from this?
Thank you, Ekta.
That's
Just
it.
give us some noddings. Yeah, just a nodding of 30 seconds. That would be.
Okay. Guys, I just want to say that you're really disorganized today.
No. I'm
Y'all
very
need to
sorry
be
for that.
more organized.
The guests were not connecting with us. We told
Yeah,
them
but
to
then
join
that
class.
needs to be done beforehand. The one question was skipped, this, that. I mean, you need to just make sure all this is done beforehand. You have CFOs tomorrow, so please ensure this doesn't happen tomorrow. There are big guests who come on the channel regularly.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ekta. Thank you. Bye. राधिका
हाँ.
मैं बहुत इरिटेट लग रही थी ये.
No, but it's not our fault. No, if the guest is not coming, what do we do?
It's not our
God.
fault.
I'll
कुछ
talk
नहीं.
to her. Don't worry. I'll speak to her
अरे
after this.
ठीक है, लेकिन अभी 45 मिनट्स का एपिसोड निकल जाएगा मेरा. ठीक है.
हाँ,
अच्छा
ठीक
ठीक है. और एक बंदे के साथ वी हैव टू रिकॉर्ड ना. क्या नाम था उनका?
अंजनी.
अंजनी. अच्छा, शी इज ए हर. ओके.
साइट्स का. हाँ.
ओके.
हाँ, तो उसका कल करेंगे.
हाँ.
कल नहीं शायद परसों. मैं एक बार ये अपेक्षा से फाइनल टाइम लेती